your best choice. BEFM 부산영어방송.
9년 전 한국에서의 새로운 출발을 위해 부산을 처음 찾은 프랭크. 부산의 자연과 사람, 부산에서 누리는 모든 것을 사랑하는 그는 부산의 변함없는 한데에 늘 감탄합니다.
I think that Busan people are actually very, very kind and very welcoming. If I seemed a little lost, there was always someone that was there to ask me if I needed help. They're more seriously friendly than it's very serious. I very seriously want to help you.
부산의 한결같은 모습도 늘 감동을 주지만 이제는 부산의 미래를 꿈꾸며 2030년 부산의 새로운 도약을 기대합니다.
Busan people are very proud of their city. They want to share the city with everyone. If we get the World Expo, it'll really put Busan on a global map.
세계 박람회가 어울리는 도시, 미래를 향한 힘찬 도약. 부산에서 출발한 파도는 이미 세계를 향해 뻗어나가고 있습니다. 2030 부산 세계 박람회. 부산이 시작하고 대한민국이 함께 이뤄갑니다. 이 캠페인은 지역과 함께하는 든든한 동반자 B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Coming up next is Inside Out Busan with Min-Soo Shin. BEFM 부산영어방송.
Hello, and welcome to the program. It's Tuesday, and you're tuned into Inside of Busan. I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. So, question for you: when do you feel the loneliest? You know, loneliness is something that none of us can really avoid. We experience it when we're young. We also experience it when we're old. Now, recently, the WHO declared loneliness as a global public health concern. WHO가 외로움을 세계보건위협으로 규정했습니다. So loneliness is said to be deadlier than smoking 15 cigarettes a day and worse for you than being overweight or not exercising. Oh, that's pretty concerning, right? So question once again, when do you feel lonely?
Younger than you. Well, he ran down the hall and he cried. Oh, how could his parents have lied when they said he was their only son? He thought he was their only one. Oh, what a lonely boy. Oh, what a lonely boy. like to be nobody's fool. Oh, what a lonely boy. Oh, what a lonely boy. Oh, what a lonely boy. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, what a lonely boy. Oh, what a lonely boy. Oh, what a lonely boy.
And to start off our show, that was Andrew Gold with Lonely Boy. Hopefully there's not too many lonely boys and girls out there. Well, you're tuned into Inside Out Busan here at BFM 90.5 if you're in the Busan area. 103.3 FM if you're in Gijang, Cheongwon, or Noksan. I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. Yes, if you're tuned into our show, you no longer have to feel lonely, at least for the next about 2 hours anyway. And same for me, right? Not so lonely knowing that you are tuning in, hanging out with me. So loneliness is a bit of a concern, not just individually, but the whole world seems to have now taken loneliness as quite an issue because recently the WHO, the World Health Organization, has declared loneliness to be a pressing global health threat, with the U.S. Surgeon General saying that its mortality effects, so the effects on death that loneliness gives, are equivalent to, get this, smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's a lot of cigarettes, right? But the effects on the body, the toll on the body that loneliness gives and takes, this is equal to the amount of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Also, loneliness is associated with an increased risk of things such as heart disease, depression, and cognitive decline. But loneliness doesn't just mean being alone, right? Actually, you may feel content without much contact with other people. But these are things that I guess, we could be on the lookout for because there might be subtle signs in your life or maybe those around you that show you that you're lonely even if it doesn't feel like it or even if it might not look it. So, for instance, number one, you constantly feel tired. 이거 바로 전데요. I'm always feeling tired, right? But hear out the full list and you'll see the trend. Number two, you care a lot about material possessions. Number three, you can't stop binge watching shows. 4, you're spending a lot of time on social media. Okay, I've checked off 4 for 4. Number 5, you've gained weight. Check that off. Number 6, it feels like you constantly have a cold. Oh, for like the past 2 weeks. Yes. So I'm going to check this off as a yes. And 7, you find yourself taking really long and hot showers. 이거는 저한테는 해당 안 됩니다. 저희 집에서는 이거 하다가 혼납니다. 네, so number 7, taking long hot showers is not a privilege that I have in my household. But yeah, so with this list going down, can you relate to some of them? Of course we can relate to some of them. But get this. If you relate to 4 or more, okay? 여기 리스트에서 4개 이상 여러분한테 해당되면요. You actually might be in the high-risk category for loneliness. It's just how those, things that you might be experiencing or you might be going through, how they, it's a weird word to use, but synergize off each other. And that leads to, I guess, you not being directly lonely, but more at risk of being lonely. Now, if you say, they have 3 of those things, maybe 거기서 한 3개 정도, then you are in a state of loneliness crisis. Okay, so like on the verge of like being high risk lonely. Now, if it's just 2, then that means you're in normal state, right? Then I guess for those, it's normal. Or just kind of like a suck it up kind of thing and it'll pass. But that 2 can turn into a 3. You know what I mean? So I don't know. While I was going off the list, how many did you check off? 여러분은 제가 리스트 중에 준 거에서요. 중에 뭐 몇 가지가 해당됐습니까? 저는 일곱 개 중에 6개요. 큰일 났네요. 네, 6개인데 like that number 6, it feels like you constantly have a cold. I mean, I do have a cold. Maybe if I asked myself this maybe 2 weeks ago, number 6 I probably wouldn't have checked off. 작가님 이거 저보고 리스트를 만든 건 아니죠? Right? You made it for people out there, right? Yeah, so once again, this is something that the WHO has declared, right? Loneliness being a very pressing global health threat. If you check off some of these, I'm not saying once again that you're lonely. It says you might be at risk of being lonely, okay? So listeners, tell me, did you check off some of these lists? Or maybe you could also let me know, like, what kind of things do you do then when you feel lonely? I'm not saying you have to get out of that feeling of getting lonely. 이거 외로움을 그냥 이게 이제 shake off 해서 이런 느낌 뭐 안 받고 싶어서 그러지 말라 그 말이 아니고요. 차라리 뭐 외로울 때 주로 무엇을 합니까? That's what I'm really curious about. Like, what do you do when you feel lonely? Because I know there are a lot of people out there that actually enjoy being by themselves or just being alone. Being lonely, right? And that's the actual like healing thing a lot of people do. So let me know. Pound 9050 샵 9050 will cost you 101. You can let us know on our Kakao Talk. You could also let us know on our YouTube. We are live over there. We already have 사랑돼요 이삼님 saying good evening. Good evening to you, 사랑돼요님. 사랑돼요님, are you feeling lonely these days? What do you do when you're feeling lonely? Folks, let us know. All right, time for today's News Bites. Time for News Bites. We have Annie with us here in the studio. Hi, Annie.
Hello.
Hi. Feeling lonely these days?
I guess it depends what kind of lonely.
Oh.
Not really, though. No,
okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. Same here. Like, sometimes, like, I tell myself, I just want to be alone sometimes.
I was just going to say, I think lately my main thought has been, I would love to just sit at home by myself.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, listeners. I love my family, love my
Yeah.
wife, I love my kid, but sometimes, right?
You just need to charge the batteries up.
Exactly. That's the alone time that I want. But then, when I get too much of that time, like, ask and you shall receive,
Yeah.
and I get like a whole day to myself sometimes, then I was like, like I want to see my wife and kid. And then, so this is what I do when I feel lonely during those times. Because, like, I don't want to do stuff by myself.
Right.
It's either not fun or it's like, it's meaningless. You know what I mean? Like eating good food or going to watch a movie or something. So it might sound kind of sad, but I just go to sleep, not because I'm tired, but it helps passes the time.
Are you wallowing? Sorry there.
I guess a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Like I asked for that time and then I get it and then it's fun for like the first hour. I was like, so what do I do now? Right? I just can't sit and wait for my wife and my kid to get back home.
I kind of get it. I do love eating good food by myself.
Yeah.
But then I feel guilty because I'm like, I should have eaten this with my loved ones.
Yeah. So you two, I mean, you enjoy that time to recharge alone, but you necessarily don't like being alone.
Yeah, in my brain, it kind of works because we work. We see people all the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of do it in terms of weekends. And I can take max like 2 weekends off of friends. And then I get a little lonely. Like, want to hang out? Want to do something, guys?
Wow, that max 2 weekends. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm introverted.
Like for me, like I don't need to make plans with them, then I'm good. But then, then this is me spending more time with my family.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I guess we we're all human beings just have like a longing for company, for other people, I feel like.
I don't think there's anyone that doesn't want to be around anyone.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's why, people that have no other choice but to be alone and then they get into that state of loneliness, just how deadly it can be, like I mentioned.
Right, that's very
Same
scary,
as
actually.
smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's so crazy. Anyways, time for today's News Bites. What do you got for us?
Right, first, as the government works to find a solution to the declining number of doctors, a survey carried out by the Ministry of Health and Welfare has found that universities are hoping to double their respective medical school student admission quotas as soon as next year, so that's for the 2025 admissions. The ministry surveyed 40 medical schools nationwide between October 27th and November 9th, asking each school to submit their student admissions minimum and maximum increase. So here the minimum would be how many more students they are able to accommodate with the current number of staff as well as their facilities, whereas the maximum would be the number they would could accommodate were they to get additional facilities and more staff members.
All right. So details of the numbers, what are they looking like?
Right. Please stick with me here.
Yeah.
For the 2025 admissions, universities have asked for a minimum increase of 2,151 students and then a maximum of 2,847 students.
So between those two numbers?
Right. The current total number of medical admissions stands at 3,058. So adding on that 2,100 to 2,800 would be a 70 to 93% increase.
Oh, okay. So that's not that much, but that much more,
Right.
you're saying.
Yes, more on top of the 3,058.
Goodness.
And for the 2030 admissions, schools were looking to increase students by 2,700-ish to 3,900-ish. So that would be a 90 to 129% increase.
Wow.
Huge.
Uh-huh.
All of these numbers are much bigger than what the government as well as the experts had initially expected. And although they will reference the medical school's preferred increase range, it most likely won't be directly reflected in the final decision. And the ministry also has to take into consideration the medical community, jobs, the education community, and evaluation experts' opinions to come to quite a realistic decision, is what we can call it. However, the fact that the schools are actively requesting these increases will definitely allow for this change to move forward quickly and surely.
Okay. Yeah. So big increase. Schools are asking in terms of just the number of medical college students. Yeah, can you imagine if like that much more start going?
Right.
Students just spewing out of like lecture halls, right?
Right. And I mean, not all of them will become doctors. Hopefully they do, but
Yeah.
that can lead to other paths, which
맞아요.
will be good for our development.
Exactly. I can't imagine. Like at medical colleges, like at some universities, like the elevators, how long the wait times for them are.
Well, I'm just happy because I went to the doctor just yesterday and I waited an hour to see the doctor.
Oh yeah.
So,
I took my daughter to the doctor this morning, packed.
yeah. So
Right?
we need more doctors. This is
Yeah,
great.
Definitely. All right, what's next?
Right. The Ministry of National Defense is closely observing North Korea's movements as there is possibility that they will launch their military reconnaissance satellite space rocket early tomorrow morning. It's not definite. Chun Ha-gyu, the spokesperson for the ministry, explained that they came to this estimation as the first and second attempts, I don't know if you remember, they took place at launching the space rocket. Both took place early on the first day within the range that they announced. They usually give like between this time and this time we'll do it. And they had reported to Japan that they will launch the space rocket somewhere between tomorrow the 22nd and December 1st. As for whether Russia supplied the new space rocket, they say it's highly unlikely, but it is likely that they provided technological information on how to resolve those issues that they found in their previous attempts.
Okay. Now, with announcements of North Korea set to launch a rocket, you know that defense ministries, the military, they're going to be, moving here. So how are they going to respond to this?
Oh, right. Well, the U.S. Navy has sent its nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the USS Carl Vinson, and it has docked here in Busan, at the naval base, this morning. After the joint launch of the Nuclear Consultative Group back in July, the 55th South Korea-U.S. Security Council meeting was held this month, and both countries agreed to act on the promise of, quote, promoting regular visibility of U.S. strategic assets and also extended deterrence with South Korea and the U.S., and basically sending this aircraft carrier and docking it here as a part of this agreement, basically showing North Korea their military power, I guess, yes.
Yeah. All right. So the latest in terms of North Korea set to launch their military reconnaissance satellite space rocket as early as tomorrow morning.
Right.
Right? It seems like possibly. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on that. Time for our last bit of news.
Right. Israel Hamas, they are said to be close to a truce agreement. So the chief of Hamas told the media on Tuesday local time that the Palestinian militant group was near a truce agreement with Israel. And this comes despite the deadly assault on Gaza and, of course, the rockets being fired into Israel. The statement did not provide any further details, but a Hamas official stated that negotiations were centered on how long the truce would last, agreements for delivery of aid into Gaza, and also the exchange of Israeli hostages held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners in Israel. So both sides would free women and children, and the details will be announced by Qatar, which is mediating the negotiations.
I think this is probably the best news coming out of that situation in a long time. I also saw news that babies were being evacuated from Gaza.
That's right. Ambulances evacuating specifically premature babies from the Al Shifa hospital have already arrived actually, in Egypt through the Rafah crossing on Monday local time. And medical professionals stood at the ready with their incubators to take them into care. And according to an Egyptian government official, 28 babies were transported into Egypt.
Thank goodness. Oh, I mean, hopefully, all safe and sound.
Right.
Yeah, so news of a truce might be in the works. We might see this in the coming days, coming weeks. Who knows how long that'll take. But we just hope that, no more lives lost. Innocent lives lost.
I did bring the positive sides of this war, but it is still a war. There's still fighting going on, so definitely be aware.
All right, Annie, well, that'll do it for today's News Bites. Thank you so much for all the updates. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Yep, see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
You know I gotcha, you know that I got you like that. Ain't nobody gonna have your back like the way I do. Love it, just say you do. You know you got me. Everything you do, everything you did, everything I wish I was with makes me feel alright. I'm just saying so. I really like it. Nothing in the world can make me feel the way you do the things you do. I really like it. Nothing in the world can make me feel the way you do the things you do. I love you and me, dancing in the moonlight. Nobody can see, it's just you and me tonight. I love you and me, dancing in the moonlight. Nobody can see, it's just you and me tonight. Look at you, now look at me. Are you ever gonna find someone like this? Look at you, now look at me. Are you ever gonna find someone like this? You're the reason my heart skips, drops. Just a little touch, my world stops. Finally I know that you're mine. I don't wanna fall, don't wanna play this game of love. Oh, there's nowhere to hide. I really like it. Nothing in the world can make me feel the way you do the things you do. I really like it. Nothing in the world can make me feel the way you do the things you do. I love you and me, dancing in the moonlight. Nobody can see, it's just you and me tonight. I love you and me, dancing in the moonlight. Nobody can see, it's just you and me tonight. Look at you, now look at me. Are you ever gonna find someone like this? Look at you, now look at me. Are you ever gonna find someone like this? Ever gonna find someone like this? I don't care about your first love, this should be your last one. Nothing like your last one. You look better on me, that's fashion. Won't block your shots, lights, camera, action. Never been a love me or a love me not thing. Every pedal better tell him better not change. I love you, I love me a lot. Wait, which one I love better? Better off not saying.
And that was Jenny with You and Me. Time is now 6:32 here in the studio. Welcome, everybody. Hour number 1 of Inside Busan. I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. Good evening to you all. Let's see what the weather and traffic is shaping up to be here in Busan City. Currently 14 degrees our city is averaging. It's weird, right? Like yesterday it was like 2 days ago it was like really cold, and then now like we're getting to 14. It's our thermostat here in the building doesn't know how to handle just the fluctuation in the temperatures right now. So it's like it'd be super cold outside and it'd be as cold sometimes inside, and then it's like warm outside and then warm inside too, right? It's supposed to like, with the thermostat, I know it's supposed to like work the other way. It's supposed to give like the opposite feeling of like cold and hot, but yeah, just the high and low temperatures, the roller coaster of it that we've been seeing the past couple of days, it's not working wonders for people's biorhythms such as me, right? Hence, that's why I've caught a cold, and a lot of people are catching it. 여러분, 지금 뭐가 지금 많이 돌아다니고 있죠? 네, so it seems that there is something going around, and this is due to like the cold and the hot coming in. Oh, I can't say hot, cold and the warm, going back and forth. Okay, tomorrow expecting morning low of 9 and afternoon high of 20 degrees. So that's a huge difference.
What?
Wait till I give you the mic.
I was shocked. What?
맞죠?
But 20
최하
in November?
9도, and then high 20, right? In the month of November, 20 in the month
That's
of November.
insane. It's
Yeah.
going to be November 22nd and 20 degrees.
Global warming for you, right?
Yikes.
So along here, Busan, anticipated highs hovering around 20 degrees Celsius tomorrow. Also with dry, and on top of that, dry weather advisory.
Oh, that's where
expanded.
the throat thing's coming from.
맞아요. 그래서 여러분 건강 진짜 잘 챙기세요. 내일 오후는 20도까지 기온이 올라가겠고요. 많이 건조하겠습니다. When it comes to our traffic, we have congestion on Dongsa Overpass from Hwangyang Interchange towards Hwangyang Tunnel. And there's also congestion on Jasongno from Bumil Junction towards Munyeon Junction. And then we have slow-moving traffic on Gayadero from Jure Junction going towards Naengjang Station. Everybody, drive safe, okay? So, Hailey, today we're talking about loneliness. The WHO has declared loneliness as a global health concern.
It really is.
Yeah, because the bodily effects of loneliness is equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, supposedly.
15, is that a pack? Pack and a
I wouldn't know.
half? Okay, well,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
I figured.
multiple. A
Yeah.
pack and a half, perhaps, of
Maybe,
cigarettes.
right?
Listeners,
just
let
goes
us
to show
inform
you,
us.
right? Pack has never come into the hands of either me or Hailey, so we don't know how many is inside
But
a pack.
many a
I feel like
cigarettes.
around that much, though.
Probably
Probably around that much.
Goodness.
So like a pack a day, then
equals loneliness.
equals lonely. So like
Oh.
just like the physical toll, like loneliness and the other like things like depression, anxiety that comes with it.
Right.
It's same as smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day. Okay.
I mean, that's not to say a pack of cigarettes is good for you.
Yeah.
You can't just like have friends and smoke
course.
a pack and think you're okay.
맞아요.
'Cause I know some people will.
Exactly. We're not saying you can't, but let's be honest,
Yeah.
it's not
My
the healthiest
goodness.
option, right? So I'm asking people, if they feel like they're like lonely these days, but more than that, I'm really curious because it's okay to be lonely sometimes, right? It's okay to be alone. Like what people are doing when they're feeling lonely. So what do you do when you're lonely?
I think there's a really important distinction of being alone
Yeah.
versus feeling lonely.
Okay.
Which I love being alone. But I think it's because I'm surrounded by people all the time,
Yeah.
at home, family. I mean, whenever I feel lonely, I do try to embrace it. Just kind of turning the feeling of feeling lonely into just converting that to being alone and reaping the benefits of being alone. Just kind of being alone with your thoughts, like treating yourself if you're
Okay.
feeling lonely or slash
Sure.
alone, taking yourself out to like a cute cafe or a nice dinner. Self dates are great.
Yeah.
You know who's great company? Me.
그럴 것 같아요. Especially you. Especially you, I
It's a
think.
busy conversation that goes in my head all the time. So
맞아요. So I'm glad that you're like when it comes to like feeling lonely though, you're like conscious of it.
Right.
Whereas like I shared with Annie, like me, when I feel like I love being alone, But when I'm feeling lonely, because I can't handle that time, I'd rather just time go by quickly. So
Yeah.
like, my daughter and my wife could come home. So what makes the time go by the fastest? I just knock out. And not even just because I'm tired. I just sleep so to make the time pass.
I
right?
see. Yeah, I was gonna suggest just doing things.
Yeah.
Like chores, getting things done, and going out and working out, and just kind of kicking out the feeling of loneliness in your brain with adrenaline,
Yeah.
dopamine, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess some people sometimes whatever to fill that emptiness, that void sometimes. But I think that is a bit more of a healthier approach. I think.
Yeah.
Changing that into let me take advantage of this
Right,
somehow,
right.
right? Nice. Listeners, let us know what you do. Yeah, like Hailey says, when you're feeling lonely. As well, when you are alone, what you enjoy doing. Okay, let's get to today's 5분 상식. Time for today's 5분 상식, getting our listeners in the know of some trending, useful, need-to-know words, expressions, and ideas. 5분만 들으면 유식해지는 시간입니다. 네, 최근 기업들이 도입 중인 다이내믹 프라이싱, 다이내믹 프라이싱. 이거는 무엇일까요? 이거 알아보도록 하겠습니다. All right, this is it, Minsu. Your lifelong dream of watching an MLB game. I just need to get a seat.
무슨 뭐 하는 거야? 웅성웅성. Hey there.
Yes.
Hey, you look like you're stuck. Do you need help? Everything okay?
No, actually, I've traveled all the way here from Korea to watch an MLB game.
안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요. 한국어 아시네요. 네, I can't seem to book a seat. The prices keep changing for some reason. I can't find a seat that's affordable. And there's only one seat left, but it's super expensive.
Ooh, yeah, that's dynamic pricing striking again. So it's like a roller coaster for ticket prices. So the more people want the tickets, the higher the prices are.
Dynamic pricing, not dynamic duo는 아는데 dynamic pricing. Oh, but I just want to watch a baseball game.
그 내가 하려고 그랬는데. I know. Look, it's frustrating. It's frustrating when people steal your jokes. It's frustrating when prices change. But you gotta act fast. Ready? Click. 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 See? Prices change at any moment.
이 정도 가격. I don't know if I could afford this. All right, I'll just click on the seat. Oh no. Seriously? Sold out? Are you kidding me?
Gotta act fast, buddy. Gotta go to a PC방. That's the game. But, try your best. Give it a shot tomorrow. 내일 다시 한번 해보세요. Good luck. Break a leg.
내일 다시 한국 복귀한단 말이에요. This is my only chance. And
Too bad, man.
And the music doesn't help at all, right? Yeah. I mean, good planning, Minsu. Yeah,
well done.
Like,
Way to fly out.
Watch. You put your dream until the last day of your trip, right? And you don't even have tickets for it yet. Yeah.
Well, guess you're going to a bar.
That's something not to do, listeners, if you're going to try to live out your dream in America to watch an MLB game. So a lot of companies worldwide, like 아마땡, 쿠땡, have been embracing what's called dynamic pricing these days. So what exactly is it?
I mean, you add on a word dynamic. You think it's good, but it's not. Dynamic pricing in Korean is 가격 변동제 or 탄력 가격제. So this kind of reflects the changes and increases profits by monitoring the number of people who are interested in certain products. So basically, it's a policy where the seller adjusts the price flexibly based on how many people want it. So for example, Amateng, they use real-time data to track demand and competitors' prices. So they adjust product prices every 10 minutes. So that's why you have to click fast. Kuteng does the same thing. It guarantees customers the lowest industry prices by dynamically changing product prices in real time.
See, like for me, I read this and I go, how does this differ from like resellers? You know what I mean? Because resellers, they put their own price and then they kind of like change it.
Right.
But like being able to change the price. I think that's like the similarity between the two. So this dynamic price model allows businesses to respond more to market trends, right?
Free market.
Yeah. Now, is it true that dynamic pricing even applies to like tickets to like sporting events, like baseball?
Notoriously so. So major sports leagues, notably the Major League MLB, they've implemented dynamic pricing. So we're not just talking about resellers and scalp tickets, which is an issue here in Korea, but officially the MLB does this because this is all dependent on demand, environmental conditions, team successes, and pitching matchups. They've all influenced how much pro baseball clubs are charging for tickets every day.
맞아요. Even things like probably like if like your favorite player is playing or not.
Right,
that game, right. I'm sure that kind of could change
Of
ticket
course.
prices. Yeah. Now, it's not just in sports too. Can you give other examples of dynamic pricing?
I mean, if you're trying to travel, because I swear when I looked at that airplane price a day ago,
말이에요.
that wasn't what it was before. I should have stacked it up. All of that, ride sharing, hotels, concert, event tickets, and regardless of the field, and that includes retail, logistics, insurance, companies are actively adopting dynamic prices because thanks to technology, AI, artificial intelligence, and big data, they basically run the algorithm and the tech will do the stuff for you, do the work for you, and change the prices. So they can do that.
See, these are instances where
Technology is
AI
fighting against us.
AI is not my best friend. Okay. Yeah. This is something that is going to, I feel like, expand into more and more places that you tend to usually like consume, use money, and buy services and products from. So, yeah, I feel like dynamic pricing is something that's going to be catching on for a lot of businesses. Can you imagine like coffee prices, like at your cafe? Because coffee
It's like,
is
I
a thing.
swear I paid $5 yesterday. What do you
I
mean it's
know.
$5.70?
Exactly,
What?
right?
Oh.
It could happen. 네, 다이내믹 프라이싱은요, 판매자가 시장 상황에 따라 가격을 탄력적으로 바꾸는 정책을 말하는 겁니다. 오늘의 5분 상식이었습니다. 김대리, 퇴근하나?
예, 부장님.
집이 교회종이지? 같은 방향인데 같이 가지? 요즘 회사 생활 어떤가?
예, 저 열심히 잘하고 있습니다.
결혼 생활도 재밌지?
예, 뭐 즐겁죠, 예. 저 그 라디오라도 좀.
그래, 라디오.
네가 저번 주에 오신 참인 것 같네.
22번 훈련병!
진짜 회사 생활 쉽지 않다. 어색한 이 순간 인사이드아웃 부산과 함께하세요. 오늘은
TMI Busan.
All right, folks, time for TMI Busan with Miss TMI, not only on air, but also off air. We have Hailey continue to be with us here in the studio. Hi, Hailey.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Can I share my personal TMI?
See, exactly. There you go.
All right. So the thing is, if you're on NotTube, our streaming, as you should be, because it's fun, we're having a
네.
party over there. I'm dressed very casually. This is my.
You are.
This is my like one of our morning wave listeners called it 고시생. Jacket.
Yeah.
Stole it from my sister. And I usually don't dress this casually for work. I mean, they don't care. I do. So I brought a jacket, the one that I wore to work
Yes.
early this morning to put on. But our 작가님 had written the 5분 상식 as, and she wrote me in as a baseball fan.
Yeah, somebody
so that
in the
worked.
baseball stand. That's exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have a jacket that it's just sitting here, so I'm just going to put it on.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're feeling a bit nippy, yes, you can put it on.
yeah.
But we here at
we
Inside
go.
Busan, we like to give freedom of dress, of uniform to all of our guests. So, yeah, Hailey, I just want you to feel comfortable. Okay, yeah. But I'm liking the Run DMC look.
Thank
all right,
you.
just to
Thank
let you
you.
know.
Yep.
All right, so TMI Busan, Hailey's going to share, a bit too much information on Busan, but too much information is good information, especially when it comes to our city.
I mean, it's useful information, but this
Yes.
number one bit, it's not good because we have bed bugs in Busan. The day has come. Well, we have a bed bug for now.
Okay.
So Saha District got a report from a residential home, and this person has been struggling with bed bugs for a while, it seems. The
Yeah.
person found bed bugs, they say, and they got rid of their furniture, tried to fumigate their home. The bed bug came back, so Saha District sent its officials. Busan City did as well. They confirmed one bed bug, but they do propagate rather quickly.
한 마리, you
한
mean?
마리. So
네.
a singular bed bug, but I mean, those bloodsuckers do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't know. They're tiny, so we'll see. So, it's here.
네.
And they're doing everything they can to get rid of it, to fumigate, and they've informed the person of the quarantine measures you can do at home.
Yeah.
So, listeners, if you do have a weird, itchy sensation, well, you see physical bumps because I'm
Now
getting
I
weird.
do.
Now I do, right? The whole
Yeah.
time I was reading the story, I'm like, oh, my skin's crawling. But report this to your health authorities, your local district offices, and public clinics if you do spot those tiny, dark brown, or black critters.
맞아요. And to that one bed bug that
Get out of
the
here.
city found, no. I want them to give it like the Terminator 2.
That's true. Burn it.
Last ending. Put
Right.
it in molten lava, molten, steel, whatever it is that you got to do.
Yeah.
Do not let it out of your sight. Okay, we do not want that thing becoming go from
Infesting.
1 to 2.
Right. Oh, okay. Moving on.
네.
Businesses. Busan's businesses, I mean, we have never been the city of big corporations to begin with. We're a city of small businesses, but this kind of, hits hard. Only 28 of Busan-based companies made it to the list of top 1,000 companies in all of South Korea. This is based on their sales. So according to the Busan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, this figure of 28 out of 1,000 is just one company higher than 2021 and half the figure from 2008. So Busan's economy has basically halved in the past 16 or so, 17 years. So 15 years, excuse me. And this was reflected in the sales reported by these 28 companies as well, because these 28 firms collectively only accounted for 1.2% of total money made by the top 1,000 companies. And then getting up to the top of the list on the top 100, none. Busan City has no top 100 firm in the entire
Really?
country. And we are the number 2 biggest city.
Yeah.
So that's economically, at least it's not true. Highest ranked company in Busan was Aruno Motors at 112th place, followed by BNK Busan Bank at 149th. So as for what city or cities were at top,
Let me guess.
yeah.
Seoul.
Yeah, go figure. At 531 companies.
Yeah.
That's over half. So disproportionately, economic resources are obviously in Seoul. That's 66%, by the way, followed by Incheon at 38 companies and Ulsan at 25. By the way, these are cities, not provinces. So
Yeah.
if we're throwing in Gyeonggi into that mixture, I mean, that's going to throw everything off. But, it really shows how much of businesses and economic resources are concentrated in just one city.
Yeah.
So an official from Busan Chamber of Commerce said that this shows an obvious structural vulnerability in the country, stemming from regional imbalance. So we need institutional support to alleviate this.
Yeah. We've seen in the past couple of years a lot of trends of already established companies and organizations that found their home first in Seoul, making their way down here to Busan because they see a lot of potential in our city. It's just that with company and just looking maybe solely just at the profits, Busan still kind of not being able to hang in there when it comes to let's say compared to Seoul.
Right. So yeah.
But yeah, looks like an upgrade in the, like you said, infrastructures and whatnot and support very much needed. What's next?
Moving on, old schools. Not old school, but old schools.
'Cause I
Aged
like old
building.
school.
We do like old school things,
Yeah.
but we don't like old schools. All right, so out of all the school buildings in Busan, there are 282 school buildings that are at least 40 years old. And the number will jump to 330 come 2025, which is basically half of all of Busan's schools.
Really?
Yeah. That's really shocking. On the contrary, remodeling work is coming in really slow. So what the Ministry of Education does is that they hold a guide, they have a guide, to closely inspect these schools every 4 years in buildings that are over 40 years old. And if the building gets structural flaws, D level or E level, then they can apply or they qualify for maintenance or remodeling, or they can even get rebuilt. However, according to Busan City, there are 444 buildings that are over 40 years out of 1,400. But mostly, it's good news and bad news. They're level B or C, so they're structurally, safe. However, in terms of real functionality and other things, not quite there. So they don't really qualify for remodeling. But the thing is, once the number of old schools spike in the next couple of years, which we will have, then we might have budget issues. Then if schools need work, then are we going to be able to accommodate all of that?
Yeah.
So Councilman Lee Dae-seok, who reported on the issue, said that this problem is very urgent because schools are getting older fast.
Yeah.
And this is something that has to be addressed not just for function, education, but also for safety, even as the education budget is going down.
Exactly. So I was thinking, it doesn't matter how little or how many schools are, getting old. I do hope that they have just the safety and health of all the students that are going to be in those buildings.
Absolutely.
First and foremost in mind. And if, let's say, those D and E level schools, if they're not fit, if they're not safe for the kids, I think they have to change it right away.
Absolutely.
Right. So good to know. Our city is not only an aging population when it comes to the people, but also when it comes to our schools.
Unfortunately.
We have time for one more bit of news.
All right, then we're going to go to Seomyeon, where the big D-7 for the BIE 2030 World Expo vote boom up was held earlier today.
맞아요. D-7, so
we have a week.
Next Tuesday.
Literally a week. I mean, by the time I come here, we won't have the news in yet because it's that day in
It'll be 11 a.m.
Right, so we'll have it the following morning on BFM. But anyways, a D-7 event featured a lot of people yelling, Busan's ready, go Busan, with a D-7 countdown video at Seomyeon intersection. This took place today at 5 p.m. Also, they have this bid wall in front of Seomyeon Station for people to write their messages of support. So if you're hanging out in Seomyeon and you see a wall, you can write, go Busan, 유치해, and all of that. But the day of the big vote, which is next Tuesday, once again the 28th, Busan City is going to hold a support ceremony at Citizens Hall and live cast the BIE vote. So it's kind of like a big sporting event. You go there, you sit with a bunch of people, you cheer, you support Busan. And watch the count.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Right? But once again, all this,
I mean,
we have to. We have to host it. You know what I mean?
We do. We absolutely do.
Yeah.
We're ready.
We are ready.
We are absolutely
I don't want to
ready.
think any other outcome besides at the end of this event, Busan City getting announced by the BIE to host the World Expo.
The 2030 host city.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to go down. Let's not think about any other outcome.
Sending good vibes out there, and that's it for TMI.
Exactly. Hailey, thank you so much. That will do it for TMI, actually for this season, but you will be back for the new season next week.
And true Terminator fashion, I'll be back.
Yes, you will be back. We'll see you back here next week, okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye. Folks, I'll see you back here at 7 to take us out of the first hour. This is Gilbert O'Sullivan with Alone Again, Naturally.
In a little while from now, if I'm not feeling any less sound, I promise myself to treat myself and visit a nearby tower. And climbing to the top, will throw myself off in an effort to make clear to whoever what it's like when you're shattered, left standing in the lurch at a church where people were saying, my God, that's tough, she stood him up. No point in us remaining, we may as well go home as I did on my own, alone. yesterday. I was cheerful, bright and gay, looking forward to who wouldn't do the role I was about to play. But as if to knock me down, reality came around, and without so much as a mere touch, cut me into little pieces, leaving me to doubt. Talk about God in His mercy, if He really does exist, why did He desert me in my hour of need? I truly am indeed alone again, naturally. It seems to me that there are more hearts broken in the world that can't be mended, left unattended. What do we do? What do we do?
괜찮아 괜찮아 조금 불편해도 환경을 위해 너무 괜찮아. 일회용 컵 대신 머그컵, 비닐봉지 대신 에코백, 물티슈 대신 손수건. 우리의 실천 하나하나 모여 세상을 바꿔요. 깨끗한 세상 플라스틱 제로, 일회용품 제로, 함께해서 참 좋은 우리의 시민
이 캠페인은 부산환경공단이 함께합니다.
We are
The firefighter duo.
Winter is so dry. Let's prevent fire by keeping these 3 rules. If you take caution, you can prevent a fire.
The number one cause of fire in winter are electric blankets. Take special caution with highly flammable materials such as memory foam, toppers, and bedding.
Number 2, having too many appliances on the power outlet is dangerous. Always unplug all the appliances that you're not currently using.
Number 3, check the heater is off before leaving the house. Leaving it on for an extended period of time can cause a fire.
Let's all take part in preventing fire and have warm and safe winter this year.
Tune into BEFM 부산영어방송 for an emergency broadcast.
This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
꼬리에 꼬리를 무는 품격 있는 토크. 시끄러워 죄송합니다. 인싸의학 부산.
Welcome back, everybody. This is hour number 2 of 인싸의학 Busan, and I'm your host, Min-Soo Shin. 환영합니다. 반갑습니다. Hello to you all. I do hope you're having a very pleasant evening. So, lots of messages coming in. Let me get to a couple. We had a text message that came in from 1191님 saying, 토요일에 학원을 마치고 배가 고파서 가까운 백화점에서 저녁을 혼자 먹을 때가 있어요. 주말이라 가족끼리 온 사람들이 대부분이라 밥을 혼자 먹고 있으면 외롭다는 걸 느껴요. 미혼이라 더 그런 것 같아요. So 1191님, so you do find yourself eating by yourself. I guess maybe especially if you're like on your way to something or on your way back from something. 혼자 먹는 거는 it's more efficient, I feel like, than waiting for like a family member or friend or anything. But it's those instances when you do feel lonely. 저도 I shared in the first hour, 맛있는 거 먹을 때 아무리 저도 맛있는 거 먹는 것도 좋아하고 맛있는 거 먹는 것도 좋아하는데요. 혼자 맛있는 거 먹으려 하니까 it doesn't have like the same 느낌. It doesn't have the same feeling. It doesn't have like the same like kick it would have than if you were to share it with other people, right? So 119님, I completely understand how you feel. Thank you so much for sharing though. We also have a message that came in. I want to get to one message. I will get to all your messages, but one in particular right now from Junan Park님 on our YouTube saying, got it. Smoking is healthier than loneliness. 준호님, 그만하는 건 아니잖아요. I'm not saying that. You're putting words in my mouth. It's as bad, right? Loneliness is as bad as smoking. We'll get more into detail on that, but let's kick things off with On the Mic, where we get to share stories of you, the citizens of Busan. Let's see who we have for today.
안녕하세요, 제니입니다. 네, 여러분, 오늘은 작곡가로 활동하고 계시는 변재벽 선생님 모시고 인터뷰 진행해 보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
네, 만나서 반갑습니다. 이렇게 작곡가라고 하셨는데 작곡을 처음 시작하게 되신 계기가 어떻게 되나요?
제가 어릴 적부터 피아노를 배워와서 음악에 관심이 많았었는데요.
네.
고등학교 올라갈 때쯤이었나? 영화관 선생님이 자기가 아는 작곡가 선생님이 있다고 소개를 시켜주시겠다고 하시는 거예요. 그래가지고 그 작곡가 선생님을 만났더니 너는 작곡을 할 수 있겠다. 한번 작곡을 배워보도록 하여라 해서 작곡을 배우게 되었죠.
아, 그렇군요. 생각보다 되게 의외네요. 영어학원 선생님이 처음 재능을 발견하시고 내가 아는 작곡가를 소개해주겠다 했는데 그분 역시 재병님의 재능을 알아보시고 이렇게 처음 시작하게 되신 그런 계기가 되는군요. 그렇다면 곡 작업하실 때 다양한 장르의 음악이 있는 것 같은데 주로 어떤 분야로 곡 작업을 하시나요?
저는 지금 국악을 전문으로 하고 있습니다. 그래서 다양한 장르를 좀 만들려고 하고 있지만 주로 메인은 국악이고 서양 음악이나 재즈, 다양한 장르의 음악을 섞어서 퓨전 국악을 목표로 하고 있습니다.
국악을 메인으로 하기는 하시지만 재즈라든지 그 이외의 장르도 넘나들면서 어떤 퓨전 국악을 하고 계시는군요. 네, 좋습니다. 그렇다면 이 작곡 과정에서 영감을 받으면서 작곡을 하시는 건지, 만약 그렇다면 그 방법은 어떻게 되는지 궁금합니다.
다른 작곡가분들이 어떠신지는 모르겠는데 저는 다른 분들처럼 막 걸을 때 갑자기 영감이 떠오른다거나 아니면은 갑자기 밤에 감수성이 막 풍부해져서 영감이 떠오른다거나 그런 거는 잘 없어요. 저는.
네.
저 같은 경우에는 마감 기한이 다가왔다? 그러면은 일단 피아노 앞에 앉습니다. 그리고 열심히 즉흥 연주를 하기 시작하죠. 이것도 마음에 안 드는데 이것도 마음에 안 드는데 하다가 이거 조금 괜찮아 하면은 그거를 녹음해 놓았다가 나중에 그걸 토대로 해서 곡을 하나 만드는 거죠.
이게 선생님만의 어떤 스타일이시군요. 정말 어떤 악상이 막 떠오른다라기보다 일단 피아노 앞에 한번 앉아보자. 아무 즉흥 연주를 해보자. 근데 이게 너무 마음에 든다라고 하면 그거를 주제로 해서 곡을 작업을 하시는군요.
네, 맞습니다.
좋습니다. 그렇다면 이렇게 모든 순간 사실 작곡하는 이 순간순간들이 절대 쉬운 작업은 또 아니라고 생각이 되는데 어떤 순간이 가장 힘들게 느껴지시나요?
아무래도 제가 주어진 시간은 얼마 없는데 써야 되는 곡이 너무 많을 때 그때가 가장 힘든 순간이죠.
맞죠. 누구나 그런 것 같습니다. 뭔가 내가 할 일을 해야 하는데 주어진 시간은 얼마 남지 않았을 때 정말 많이 힘들게 느껴지는데 특히나 이 작곡이라는 것은 어떻게 보면 거의 무에서 유를 만들어내는 하나의 과정인데 정말 그런 부분에 있어서는 많이 힘들 것 같다고 느껴집니다. 그렇다면요, 이제 저희의 마지막 질문입니다. 우리 재병님이 작곡한 곡이 사람들에게, 우리 청취자분들이나 혹은 대중들에게 어떻게 전달이 되었으면 좋겠는지, 혹은 또 작곡자로서의 어떤 목표가 따로 있는지 궁금합니다.
저는 흔히 알고 계시는 양방원 작곡가처럼 대중들이 들었을 때 많이 듣고 좋다고 느껴지고 어렵지 않다고 느껴지고 계속 기억에 남는 그런 곡들을 많이 들려드리고 싶습니다.
아, 그렇군요. 정말 맞습니다. 사실 국악이라고 하면 요즘 대중들은 어떻게 보면 조금 지루하고 따분하게 느끼시는 분들이 생각보다 많으신데 이런 국악을 조금 더 대중들에게 접근하기 쉽게 만드는 게 어떤 우리 재병님의 목표이기도 하고 추구하는 스타일이시군요.
네.
네, 좋습니다. 이렇게 앞으로 작곡 활동을 하실 때 늘 너무 멋지고 좋은 곡들이 많이 탄생하길 바라겠습니다. 오늘 함께 해주셔서 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다 to our reporter Jenny and to today's special guests for On the Mic, Mr. Byun Jae-byuk, who happens to be a composer. Yes, a songwriter, I guess you could also call him. And he mentioned he began composing at a very young age, and he was actually encouraged by his English Academy teacher. Not his music teacher, you know, not his piano, violin, or maybe his like 국악 teacher back then. No, his 영어 선생님, his English teacher had encouraged him, why not give it a shot at composing, right? Two things come to mind when I heard that. One, may I have my money back from the English classes, right? What are you, English teacher? You know, what are you doing? You know, not teaching me English, but telling me to go towards music. I'm just kidding. But I'm sure also Mr. Byun is very thankful for even like his English teacher opening that door, that route for him, he mentioned. And it looks like just with him since then doing his work in that genre, hasn't looked back, right? Very much enjoying what he's doing. Now, he mentioned while he works in various genres, he mentioned from jazz to other types of Western music, his primary focus is on Korean traditional music, 국악. In particular, creating fusion genres with 국악, right? This seems to be an ongoing trend. You know, it started like a couple years back. I know a lot of people, a lot of artists tried mixing 국악 with other genres that you don't really thought of, like you wouldn't really think of, like rock. You know, a lot of bands caught onto that 국악 and rock kind of fusion, and that worked. And they put out a lot of like 국악 songs in rock versions and rock songs in 국악 versions. But you're seeing more and more fusion of 국악 with hip hop, 국악 with jazz, 국악 with like Western classical music too. He told us a little bit about how he gets his inspiration. So compared to, let's say, other artists and other composers, you know, like when you're walking down a street, you see like a butterfly float by, or you see children playing, you know, in the playground, and then just kind of it just hits you, inspiration hits you. While for him, it's nothing like that. He starts his work through improvising, right? Especially when like deadline approaches. 역시 한국인이네요. But you know, I feel like for a lot of people, they work great under pressure. And for Mr. Byun, it seems like that's his kind of like, you know, the way to get himself inspired to come up with music. He says he finds it most challenging, though, when he has a lot of tasks but limited or is pressed on time. But although it sounds like it's difficult, I'm sure he does a great job. He mentioned he likes to improvise when deadlines approach, and that's when some of his best stuff comes out. Lastly, he mentioned his goal, his musical career goal, is to create music to become kind of like world-renowned, like world-famous composer Yang Bang-on, whose music is something that anybody and everybody can listen to and enjoy, right? So, yeah, Mr. Byun, I feel like you are well on your way. Just don't lose sight of what you're doing it for, and especially, you know, your musical identity. Just as long as you stick to that and you be true to that, I feel like, you know, fans will flock and you will have your shot and you will have your time in the spotlight. So I'm looking forward to that time. Thank you so much to today's special guest, Mr. Byun Jae-byuk, as well as to our reporter, Jenny. That'll do it for today's On the Mic. Let's take a quick song break. Paul Kim, 너는 기억한다.
않은 아주 오랜 기억들 네가 거기 있었는지 아무도 모르고 쉽게 지워지지 않는 아주 오랜 상처만 남아 그때 너는 기억한다 다들 아무렇지 않게 작은 돌을 던지고 소리쳐도 울어봐도 들어주니 없고 눈물이 마를 때쯤에 너의 맘엔 미움만 남아 그날의 너를 잃어간다 네가 아주 행복했으면 좋겠어 대신 내가 불행하면 좋겠어 나의 슬픈 눈물 고통이 너의 웃음이 되길 사실 난 행복을 잘 몰라 이제 남은 줄 알았던 아주 오랜 흉터가 낙인처럼 선명하게 네 굴레가 되어 이제 내게 남은 것은 대신 증오하는 일 너의 상처를 지워버리는 일 네가 아주 행복했으면 좋겠어 대신 내가 불행하면 좋겠어 나의 슬픈 눈물 고통이 너의 웃음이 되길 사실 난 행복을 잘 몰라 기억나지 않았으면 좋겠어 다시 돌아갈 수 있으면 좋겠어 너의 찰나와 영원들이 너만의 것이 되길 사실 난 행복을 잘 몰라 너는 아무렇지 않게 살아가야 하니까 네, 폴 킴의 너는 기억한다 였습니다. The time is now 7:15 here in the studio. Welcome to hour number 2 of 인싸의학 Busan. I'm your host, Minsu Shin. Good evening to you all. Let me give you a quick update on the weather as well as what the traffic is looking like here in Busan City. Right now, 14 degrees our city is averaging. Tomorrow, expecting morning low of 9 degrees and afternoon highs of 20. 네, you heard right. 20 degrees in, like towards the end of November, right? So it's just craziness sometimes. Conditions will be fairly moderate tomorrow, but be mindful of the big contrast in the temperatures between morning and night. The maximum temperatures will jump to 20 degrees Celsius during the daytime. And also, add on top of that, dry weather warning will be in place with increased risk of wildfires. So everybody keep that in mind. 부산은 내일은 온화한 날씨를 보이겠습니다. 건조한 날씨에는 화재 조심하세요. When it comes to our traffic, we have congestion on 강변대로 from Kupo Station going towards Deokcheon Interchange. There's also congestion on Pyeonglo from Kusa Interchange going towards Kumjang Police Station. Slow-moving traffic on Seonglo from Mokgol Junction going towards the Yongso three-way intersection. Everybody, drive safe. 부탁드릴게요. All right, so folks, today we're talking about how the WHO has declared
loneliness as a public health concern. Because just the physical toll that loneliness can take on a person's body, it could be equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now, if you compare it like that, because, I think smoking 15 cigarettes a day sounds like a lot. 저는 담배 하루에 15개를 핀다 하는 생각이 좀 많다고 생각하거든요. But the effects of that is very similar to what would happen to your body if you were to go through loneliness. Now, obviously, I don't know. I don't have the details in front of me, but it sounds like it's like extreme loneliness, things like depression, anxiety, things that could come about stemming from loneliness. And that takes a huge physical and mental toll on a person's health, right? So I wanted to hear from you listeners. I'm not, asking like, oh, do you feel lonely? That might be a bit of a personal question. But, we all feel lonely sometimes, right? Sometimes we enjoy being alone, but there's a big difference between being alone and feeling lonely. So I wanted to hear from you listeners. When you feel lonely, 네, 외로울 때요, 주로 뭐를 하십니까? I'm not saying you have to get out of that feeling of loneliness, but usually, what do you do? What do you find yourself doing when you're feeling lonely, right? So I told you, I try to sleep it off because feeling lonely is not the best feeling for me, right? So if I'm missing my wife, if I'm missing my family, my daughter, I go to sleep, right? Even if it's during the daytime, it's a nice day outside. Usually opting for sleep makes the time go by faster. And that means, maybe at the end of the day, I could see my wife and daughter sooner. So yeah, I want to hear from you what you generally do or maybe generally feel. I also gave you this huge, not huge, it was like a list of 7 things. But do you check off any of those things? Because if you were to check off 3 or more, then you might be at risk of loneliness. So let's go over to our YouTube. We have a couple messages I didn't get to. So I was asking you, how many of these do you relate to? 이 중에서 몇 가지가 해당되십니까? 라고 물어봤잖아요. Like subtle signs you're lonely even if it doesn't feel like it. To give you the list really quickly, 1, you always feel tired. 2, you care about material possessions, maybe a little too much. 3, you can't stop binge watching shows. 4, you spend a lot of time on social media. 5, you gain weight. 6, you feel constantly like you have a cold. And 7, you find yourself taking really long, hot showers, right? That last one was, it sounds nice. But if you always do it, there might be a reason. Well, we have Jacob님 on our YouTube saying, 저는 2가지요. Saying, that's good. Jacob님, 2가지면, that means you're in a normal state. 보통입니다. 2가지면 보통. To read Chunwon Park님's message again, saying, got it, smoking is healthier than loneliness. Once again, that is not what I'm saying, listeners. Chunwon Parknim is putting words in my mouth. I did not say that. I'm saying it's equivalent to, okay, smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Both are bad, all right? That's the point that I'm trying to make as well. We have 배용구님 saying, sometimes, especially on weekends or holidays, I feel lonely. 배용구님, so weekends, holidays, do you tend to spend that by yourself? Or is it because even though you're with, let's say, family or friends, you still feel lonely, right? Usually especially people that live far away from their hometown, they're living here in Busan or another city because of work. Yeah, those weekends and holidays, they're pretty killer because usually you spend that with family and friends. But if you're alone in a new city or city that you're not usually from, yeah, things get hard. 우리 토끼님 saying 전 3가지나 해당됩니다. Not bad. I feel lonely when I eat alone, so I always turn on TV or watch NutTube when I eat. 오, 토끼님, 저랑 똑같네요. 저는 TV 보려고, 맞아요. 밥 먹을 때 TV 보려고 TV 켜는 게 아니라 I just need some sound. 맞아요. But did you know TV 안 보고 그냥 조용하게 밥에만 집중하면요, 토끼님, 밥 덜 먹게 된대요. Because I guess your brain gets the signal faster from your stomach that you ate enough food. But if you're watching TV while you eat, your brain is so focused on what's going on TV, the signal gets delayed. between your stomach and your brain, so you eat more and you feel more full. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. We also have JJ님 on our YouTube saying, I rarely feel lonely. I guess that's because I'm having a busy every day. Oh, JJ님. 그쵸. A lot of people sometimes, though, they on purpose keep themselves busy to keep from being lonely. And I think that's an okay way to cope. Hopefully, you're not overdoing it. Like, you're not like on the verge of collapsing. And you're not getting enough rest just so that you don't have to feel lonely. But JJ님, I feel like that's like a good kind of like middle. You're busy enough not to feel lonely, but maybe you're not busy enough to know that if you stop, that you might feel lonely. Does that make sense? I just confused myself a little bit. But JJ님, once again, I think that's a good middle to have. You rarely feel lonely because you are busy most days. 감사합니다 to everybody that participated in today's show. A big thank you, just for all your input and sharing of your thoughts. Well, 7:22 here in the studio. It's Tuesday, second hour of our show. That means we have our resident in-house doctor for today's 인싸의학. Time for 인싸의학, and we have the 인싸 doctor, Dr. Liu, with us here in the studio. Hi, Dr. Liu.
네, 안녕하세요. 오늘 많이 좋은 하루입니다.
네, 반갑습니다. 류 원장님. How are you?
저 정말 좋고요.
네.
요새 날씨도 너무 좋아서.
네. 날씨 좋은데요. 네. I mean, it's nice, but it's not like, end of fall, beginning of winter nice. It's like warm fall days nice. And I don't like it. Does that make sense? 왜냐면 이때 이렇게 따뜻하면 안 되잖아요.
맞아요. 그런 게 좀 있긴 있었어요.
It's throwing me off. That's why, like these days, 저도 이때 좀 겨울에 감기 잘 안 걸리거든요. 감기 좀 심하게 왔어요. 이번 겨울에는 because of the fluctuating temperatures.
That's right.
outside.
Fluctuating, go up and down, up and down. I hope you won't get any coughs or next year, knock on woods.
Yeah, knock on everything.
Yes, knock on everything.
We have 민우님, 이민우님 on our YouTube saying, wow, it snowed recently in Busan though. 그쵸, 민우님. 최근에 눈 왔잖아요. 토요일 새벽에 아침 일찍 눈 왔거든요. 근데 민유님, do you remember how warm it got right after it snowed? Usually 눈 오고 계속 이렇게 추워지잖아요. So that more snow could come. But then after the snow, it got warm again. Saturday, like during the daytime, and even into Sunday.
I think that saved a lot of people because driving in Busan is really, really crazy.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of ups and downs.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying it was probably going to continue to snow anyway, but usually snow means it gets colder and colder.
That's right.
But then we have like these warm fall days again. I don't know. I don't like the very wishy-washy 왔다 갔다 이러다가 저러다가.
You are very consistent and very
climate that we're having.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes, I like stability. I like consistency. Okay.
That's so good.
Dr. Liu.
Yes.
But we usually like to start off your segment
that's right.
with a little bit of 아재 gag.
아재 개그 날씨가 따뜻해진다 그래서
네.
I brought some very corny, very 썰렁 joke for you guys.
As long as you know that it's very corny, it's very 썰렁하다. Okay.
Okay.
네.
It's a quiz. It's a 이게 세 개 이게 수수께끼예요. 수수께끼 riddle.
It's a riddle. Okay.
Yes, there are a lot of dongs here in Korea, like 압구정동, 연산동, 광안동 동이 많죠.
네.
This dong in Busan is very specialized in repairing a lot of stuff.
Repairing a lot of stuff.
Yes. And this area is also known as very high salary area where you get a lot of salaries there.
그럼 이 동네에서 사면 월급 좀 많이 받는다.
네.
네. Is this the same
Yes,
dong?
that's the same dong.
뭐 있지?
And then the last one, I think this one might give away the answer.
네.
This dong has the largest population of conservative stands when it comes to political point of view.
Really?
Yes.
어디지?
It's in Busan.
It is in Busan.
부산에서 동이 있어요.
네. 바로 생각나야 되는데. Give me a hint. What 구? What district?
서구? 중구.
중구?
예. Actually, this 여태까지는 제가 그냥 그 넌센스로 생각을 했어야 됐고요.
네.
지금 this 동 is famous for selling second-hand books and some other.
정답.
Yes.
보수동.
네, 맞습니다.
네.
Very conservative 보수.
네.
And 보수 is salary and also salary. 보수가 많다 적다.
아, 보수가 salary예요?
예, 보수.
I didn't know
예,
that.
예, 보수가 많다 적다.
Uh-huh.
And 보수 is conservative.
네.
And 보수 also repair. 보수하다.
맞네. 두둥.
제가 만들었어요.
보수동.
네.
보수동 used to be me and my wife's old stomping grounds when we used to date.
저 아주 you might get sentimental and very 어떻게 되죠? 이게 옛날 돌아가는
네.
그런 추억이 담긴 그런 곳이죠.
맞아요. 네. So
아무튼, 네.
even these days we like to 요즘에는 주차할 데가 많이 없어서 we just drive past it. Dr. Ryu, thank you so much for the 아재 개그 보수동 저 꼭 기억하겠습니다.
네.
Today's 인싸의학, what do you have for us?
오늘은요. 하지 불안 증후군에 대해서 얘기하러 왔어요. 들어봤어요? 하지 불안 증후군?
하지 불안 증후군.
네.
What do you call this in English?
Restless leg syndrome.
Okay.
rest가 이제 쉬는 거죠. take a rest 할 때. 근데 restless 하면은 쉬지 못하는 leg, 다리가 쉬지 못하는 신드롬이에요. 여기서 여러분 의학적으로 끝에 신드롬이라는 것이 붙는 경우는 의사들이 잘 모르는 경우에 신드롬이라고 해요. 네, 신드롬.
So syndrome. So they call things a syndrome when they don't know exact causes of it or why it's there or why it happens. Right? Interesting. I didn't know that. 그건 몰랐어요.
그건 몰랐어요. 그래서 신드롬이라고 그러고.
네.
신드롬은 it's a term referring to encompassing a lot of symptoms or a lot of diseases. For instance, cyclic vomiting syndrome. Well, that's another thing. Another syndrome. 그거는 이제 주기적으로 구토하는 그런 소아과에서 보는 질환들인데 여하간 의사들이 잘 모르는 경우가 많이 있는데 이런 경우에 신드롬이라고 하고 여러 신드롬이라는 병들이 최근에 많이 밝혀지긴 했지만 아무튼 restless syndrome은 is quite pretty common.
Yeah. Now, when you say restless leg syndrome, I'm picturing basically somebody's legs that just can't stay still. 그래서 막 움직여야 되고 like shaking and stuff like that. Is that what restless leg syndrome is?
맞습니다. You got maybe 50 point out of 100.
Okay.
Restless leg syndrome 하지 불안 증후군인데요. You might feel your legs are really extremely uncomfortable while you're sitting or lying down, especially.
근데 저 Now, this might be normal for other people, but let's say I'm in the car for more than like 30 minutes. If I find myself, if I haven't moved my legs in quite a while, like my knees and my ankles do hurt.
그거는 저도 그래요. 그거는 근데 다리 떠는 거나 다리 무브하는 거는 되게 좋대요.
네.
왜냐면은 얼마 전에 I might if you allow me, I need to digress a little bit. The other day I read an article about DVT, deep vein thrombosis. DVT는 이제 하지 정맥 혈전증인데 you might heard of this economy syndrome when you when you ride on a flight. Then you might sit on an economic chair for a long time. You're not allowed to walk around. Then you might feel some kind of a heavy feeling or some uncomfortable stiffness. And then they might increase the chance of getting some embolic events, which means 색전술이라 그래서 might have a heart attack or might have some kind of a
your vessels might be clogged.
Yeah.
So you might end up having some serious conditions.
Yeah.
그래서 나중에 이제 다리 안 움직이게 되면은 이코노미 증후군이라 그래가지고 다리 혈관이 막히게 되거든요. 그렇게 되거나 아니면 그 혈전이 이 핏덩어리가 떨어져 나가서 머리나 다른 심장이나 이런 데 가서 문제를 일으킬 수가 있는데
무섭다.
예, 그래서 다리를 많이 떠는 게 나쁘지는 않다고 얘기를 하더라고요. 근데 이 다리가 떠는 것이 이 뭐 운전하거나 그럴 때 떨거나 뭐 저도 지금 앉아가지고 다리를 떨고 있는데 보기가 좀 안 좋을 수 있지만 잠잘 때도 떤다고 생각을 해보세요.
잠잘 때도요?
잠잘 때.
Can't imagine.
You couldn't resist shaking your legs while you're sleeping. You're about to sleep. Do you think you can fall asleep very easily with shaking your legs? 그래서 이게 잠잘 때 많이 떨리고 그래서 잠을 못 자게 만들어요. 신기하죠?
Yeah. Okay. So if usually if you find yourself like maybe tapping your leg, shaking your leg, like say when you're sitting down like in the car or maybe at the office, but if you find that shaking and that that constant moving, even while you're trying to sleep,
그렇죠.
then it's something serious.
그렇죠. 그게 얼마나 많냐면 이제 어떤 스터디에서는 about 5% of adults might have this kind of a restless leg syndrome.
Really?
Yes. 5%. 그리고 혹시 여러분들 잠 자다 갑자기 다리가 꿈틀 해가지고 잠에 깨는 기억이 있을까 모르겠네요.
이건 가끔씩 있어요.
가끔씩 있죠.
네.
예. 근데 이런 게 이제 주기적으로 또 계속 반복이 되게 되면은 또 이것도 restless leg syndrome의 하나의 증상일 수도 있어요.
네.
예. 그래서
Interesting.
이게 신기하죠. 그래서 이거 있으면은 잠도 못 자게 되니까 잠 못 자면 그 다음날 어떻게 돼요?
You feel tired, feel groggy in the morning, you can't work correct, you can't operate, basically you can't function well.
맞습니다. 그래서 그런 걸 의사들이 많이 물어보고요.
네.
또 환자들이 얘기를 어떻게 하냐면은 다리에 뭔가 기어가는 것 같다. Something is creeping on my shin or something. I feel like something electric shock on my knees and on my ankles and shins and things like that.
Like phantom pains or like
그렇죠. 팬텀 페인 그렇죠. 그런 거 비슷하게 조금 팬텀 페인은 약간 좀 다르긴 다르지만 가짜죠. 가짜.
Yeah.
가짜 팬텀이죠. 그런 게 생기는 거예요. 그러면 이제 이게 의사들은 항상 이런 게 있어요. 이게 병적인 거냐? 이게 정상적인 거냐? Is it normal phenomenon or is it some
like a health concern?
Yes. Or you seek medical help.
Yeah.
So doctors like to set some criteria in diagnosing all these kinds of syndromes. First of all, 이거는 가만히 증상이 이제 4가지가 특징인데요.
네.
가만히 있을 때 when you're sitting down or lying down, you feel pressure to move your legs. Especially during of the inactivity. And also the second symptom is and then those kind of urge or this kind of itchiness might be relieved by moving your legs. And then the third characteristic is those symptoms get worse over during the night or in the evening.
Okay.
And then at night your legs might twitch. Inadvertently, like without knowing yourself. 그래서 자기도 모르게 다리가 꿈틀꿈틀거리거나 밤에 더 악화가 되고 조금 쉬면은 안 좋아져서 다리를 움직여야지. 움직이면은 좀 괜찮아지는.
저는 일단 1번이랑 2번 해당되는 것 같아요. 저한테는.
그럼
I do sometimes feel like even in like the most comfortable position, right? Let's say sitting down or even lying down on a sofa, I feel like especially with my legs, I have to like put my leg in a certain position or change like the way I'm lying down or have my legs just because 그렇게 하면 좀 더 편해진다라고 이런 느낌 들어요.
저도 그런 것 같아요.
네네네.
갑자기 야구 선수들이 생각이 났어요. 저기 야구 딱 배팅하고 칠 때 보면 타자들이 다리를 달달달달 떨고.
네네네. 뭐 그런 거 있지만, but that you went through number 3 and 4. You mentioned it gets worse, like as the day goes on and maybe into the night. And you mentioned the periodic limb movements of sleep, the PLMS, which is actually also a condition. This is something that's where I draw the line. Okay, maybe then it's not as serious compared to other people that actually have restless leg syndrome. Then
That's a very valid point because the restless leg syndrome always it can be normal or it can be abnormal, especially in case of seeking medical help. The most crucial symptom is it gets worse over time during night, and then jerky movements, twitching without knowing it. 그래서 자기도 모르게 움직이는 거죠. PLMG라고 하죠.
네.
이게 또 나중에 이게 생기는 분들이 나중에 나이가 들어서 뇌의 퇴행성 질환, 파킨슨스 디지즈나 또는 other neurodegenerative disorder의 precedent symptom, 즉 선행 증상일 수도 있대요. 그래서 이런 게 쉽게 보기도 하지만 문제가 되는 경우도 있어요. 그러면은 이게 어떤 경우에 생기는 걸 같아요?
yeah, because sometimes it sounds like a habit or maybe even like a tic somebody could have. But then when you keep explaining, it sounds maybe even more like a nervous system kind of thing, right?
그렇죠.
네.
그래서 다리에 신경적인 이제 말초 신경 질환이 있거나 또는 뭐 가족력이 있는 경우도 있어요. 그렇지만 요새 젊은 여성들한테 많거든요.
젊은 여성들한테요.
네.
So young women are diagnosed with restless leg syndrome.
그렇죠. restless syndrome이 이게 primary가 있고 secondary가 있는데 secondary는 이제 원인이 있는 경우거든요.
네.
우리가 원인이 있는 경우인데 여기에 스크립트는 적진 않았지만 실제로 젊은 여성들이 많은 이유는 철 결핍 때문에. Iron deficiency.
Iron deficiency.
예. 철 결핍이 있게 되면은 다리가 떨게 돼요.
I see.
특히 밤에 다리를 움직여야 되고 잠을 잘 때 다리가 자기도 모르게 불편하고 막 움직여야 되고 그래서 항상 철 결핍이 있을 때 생기기 때문에 다리 하지 restless syndrome 생기게 되면 피 검사를 해가지고 철분이 부족한지를 확인을 해야지 되고요. 그다음에 또 여러 가지 있는데 요즘에는 사람들이 잘 안 움직이잖아요.
그렇죠. Everything's all comfortable.
네.
Everything's all automatic.
Yeah, I think the reason why our legs are very eager to move at night is they need to, I'm gonna make them impersonalize them, and they want to move at night because they want to ventilate their pent-up energy during the day. 그러니까 밤에 막 낮에 못 움직였으니까 밤에 막 움직여가지고 자기들이 이제 우리 다리 세상들이 막 움직여서 에너지를 갖다 좀 방출하려고 하는 그런 게 되지 않을까. 결국은 거꾸로 생각을 해보면은요. 열심히 다리 움직이고 그러면은 restless leg syndrome이 조금 좋아질 수도 있겠죠.
Okay. So with restless leg syndrome then, what's the treatment for it? Do people just take medicine for it? Is this something that we have to 교정으로 이렇게 바꿔야 되는 거예요? How do you go about fixing
well,
it?
as a physician, as a neurologist, I've seen many patients with RLS. The first thing I do recommend a lifestyle modification. During the day, I wanted to walk as much as possible, and I wanted to do some workouts, running, and also caffeine. Those kind of CNS stimulants might disrupt our sleep cycle. That's why I wanted to cut down on drinking coffee, and also sometimes warm bath might help you fall asleep really easily. 이런 것들이 좋고요. 약을 쓴다 그러게 되면 이제 철분제를 주는 경우도 있겠고요. 또 아니면은 신기한 게 이게 신경의 뉴로트랜스미터 신경 전달 물질의 무슨 문제일 수 있기 때문에 약을 주는데 anti Parkinson medicine을 쓰기도 합니다. Anti-Parkinson medicine. Some people might be thrown back be prescribing anti-Parkinson's disease for patients with RLS. But Parkinson's disease, 왜냐면 이게 약이라는 게 한 곳에만 쓰는 게 아니라 다른 곳에서도 쓰이는 거거든요. 예를 들어서 아만타딘이라는 약이 있는데 그 파킨슨 치료제로 쓰이는데 원래 이거는 it was invented for treating influenza virus.
Yeah.
있죠. 인플루엔자 쓰는데 파킨슨에 들어서 파킨슨 약으로 이제 된 거고
네.
또 그런 거죠. 다른 걸로 개발됐는데 이때도 쓰는 거고. For instance, 말라리아 클로로콰인이라는 그 말라리아 치료제가 또 뭐 루푸스라는 그러한 자가 면역 질환 치료에 쓰이듯이 그렇게 쓰이는 거라서 파킨슨 안티 파킨슨 디지즈 내가 파킨슨 약을 뭐 이렇게 놀랄 필요는 없을 것 같아요. 하지만 I think medicine in that case, medicine, as a patient, as a doctor, I wouldn't prescribe as many medicines as possible for those patients because lifestyle is really important.
네.
That's the basic cornerstone.
Yeah.
Speaking of lifestyle, these days a lot of brain pills are selling hot cakes. These days, 홈쇼핑에서 뇌 치매 예방약이라고 엄청 많이 팔리고 막 하더라고요.
그런 것도 요즘 많이 팔리고.
예.
Like I've seen like vitamins people are selling. 그걸 그냥 먹는 비타민 아니고 그 비타민을 like you put it in your mouth and you have to put it on the roof of your mouth so it has like it could absorb more easily into your brain or something. So yeah, I see a lot of that. 저도 많이 보입니다. 네.
제가 한국말로 잠깐만 한마디만 하고 잠깐 랩업을 할게요.
네.
브레인필이라고 나온 제약 회사들이 여러 가지가 있는데 여러분 검색해 보면 나올 겁니다. 많이 이제 퇴출이 됐어요. 퇴출이 됐다는 얘기는 효과가 입증이 안 됐다는 얘기죠. 가장 좋은 브레인필은 잘 먹고 잘 자고 잘 싸는 거. 그리고 비타민은 artificially manufactured 비타민이 좋을까요? 아니면 natural, organic, or 음식에서 먹는 비타민이 좋을까요?
Natural, baby.
natural이죠. 예, 제철 과일 먹고 그다음에 프로세스드 음식 같은 거 안 먹는 거.
네.
지난 알츠하이머스 어소시에이션 인터내셔널 컨퍼런스에서 얘기했지만 프로세스드 푸드 먹게 되면 뇌세포가 뭐 30몇 % 이상 뭐 나빠지듯이 건강히 잘 먹고 잘 자고
맞습니다.
잘 싸고 많이 웃고 사람들 많이 만나는 거 그거보다 더 좋은 약이 없고 여기 RLS도 마찬가지지만 그렇게 생활하면은 밤에 잠도 잘 자고 하지 않을까. 저도 어제 잠을 잘 못 잤는데. I'm a doctor in my office, but I'm a patient at home.
Yeah.
Yes. 같이 살아가는데.
You need to be taken care of as well, Dr. Dew.
예.
네.
제가 행복해야 다른 사람도 행복하게 할 수 있는데 오늘 저희 세그멘트가 많은 사람들한테 도움이 되길 바라겠습니다.
Oh, I'm sure it will. And eat more iron.
Eat more iron,
네.
and then eat more fruits, and then if you are allergic to or watch out caffeine intake. You know, Coke contains a lot of caffeine, and hot chocolate contains a lot of caffeine. 이거 정말 어린애들 코코아 먹으면은 하이퍼액티브해지는 게 슈거 크러쉬가 아니라 카페인 때문일 수 있어요.
네. 저도 철분을 더 먹기 위해 오늘 저녁은 두부입니다.
오케이. 고기도 드시고.
네. 순두부 갑자기 먹고 싶어요. Dr. Yu, thank you so much. That will do it for today's 인싸의학. You'll be back for the new season here at 인싸라 Busan's 인싸의학. So we'll see you back here next week, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bye. Folks, let's take a quick song break. This is 선우정아 with 도망가자.
도망가자 어디든 가야 할 곳만 같아 넌 금방이라도 올 것 같아 괜찮아 우리 가자 걱정은 잠시 내려놓고 대신 가볍게 짐을 챙기자 실컷 웃고 다시 돌아오자 거기서는 우리 아무 생각 말자 너랑 있을게 이렇게 손 내밀면 내가 잡을게 있을까 두려울 게 어디를 간다 해도 우린 서로 안아줄래 너의 얼굴 위에 빛이 스며들 때까지 가보자 지금 나를 도망가자 멀리 안 가도 괜찮을 거야 너와 함께라면 난 다 좋아 너의 맘이 변할 수 있는 곳 그게 어디든지 얘기해줘 너랑 있을게 이렇게 손 내밀면 내가 잡을게 있을까 두려울 게 어디를 간다 해도 우린 서로를 꼭 붙잡고 있으니 가보는 거야 달려도 볼까 어디로든 어떻게든 내가 옆에 있을게 마음껏 울어도 돼 그 다음에 돌아오자 씩씩하게 지쳐도 돼 내가 안아줄게 괜찮아 좀 느려도 천천히 걸어도
안녕하세요. 고품격 영어 방송 인사이드 아웃 부산의 품격 있는 라이터 스티브입니다. Winners of Inside Out Busan listeners participation segment will get full course meal voucher from Golden Lizzie, a gourmet restaurant in Geojedong and Yeonsan-dong, where you can taste cuisine from Michelin Guide featured Chef Kim. 미슐랭 셰프의 파인 레스토랑 골든 리지에서 10만 원 외식 상품권. A place to entertain your brain and eyes. Museum of Illusions. 당신의 눈과 뇌를 즐겁게 하는 곳. 뮤지엄 오브 일루전 부산 착시미술관 입장권. 언제나 맛있는 커피를 신선하게 만드는 양산에 위치한 인투 로스터리. Coffee voucher and a pack of fresh coffee whole beans sponsored by Into Roastery in Yangsan. A delicious brunch for two from Gorilla Brewing Busan, Gwangan branch, the leader of Korean handmade beer culture. 수제 맥주 전문점 고릴라 브루잉 부산에서 제공하는 식사권. We prepare admission tickets for the Busan X the Sky Top Floor Observatory, which is located at LCT in Haeundae, the highest place in Busan. 부산 대표 랜드마크 해운대 LCT에 위치한 하늘 위의 바다. 부산 X the Sky 전망대 입장권을 선물로 드립니다. IOB와 함께하는 품격 있는 선물. It's all yours, listeners.
All right, folks, as we slowly start to wrap up today's show, time for the last segment. You got it, quote, unquote. Now, today's quote, I always like to relate today's quote just what we've been talking about, maybe last with our guest or just throughout the whole show. Today, we've been putting our focus into loneliness, right? The WHO is saying how loneliness can be as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, let's say, right? But I thought, there are a good amount of people experiencing chronic loneliness, loneliness that just never ends. And that's why we have so many related deaths here in Korea, here in Busan to that, right? But to, the large number of people that do experience loneliness, but maybe not in that serious terms. I think today's quote can be quite relevant to you. It's a quote by Douglas Coupland, and the quote reads, "Remember, the time you feel lonely is the time you most need to be by yourself. Life's cruelest irony." So this quote, it shows you that the paradox of loneliness, basically, because you also need to see it as an opportunity for some self-reflection and personal growth. Because even though being lonely is so challenging and so hard, it could also be a time where you could find really yourself and you could grow from that too. So it's a gentle reminder that sometimes solitude can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves and what we really need. You know how parents tell us, like, if you really want something, 엄마 아빠 나 이거 진짜 갖고 싶은데, and then they tell you, like, do you really need it? Like, do you really 꼭 필요한 거야? And then this is what my parents did. They always gave me they gave me one day to think about it. 그냥 하루만 생각하고 진짜 필요하면 사줄게, right? If you really need it, think about it for a day. And at the end of that day, you come back and say, yes, I still need it, then we'll get it for you. Doing that, actually a lot of the times, I would say more than half, I didn't get what I wanted. 제가 갖고 싶은 거 못 가졌거든요. But it just goes to show you just how maybe that, like a challenging time of loneliness, how that can be helpful, but as long as you make that time to be helpful. So if you're feeling lonely, I think Hailey explained it great. She recognized that, yeah, maybe I am feeling lonely. Let's try to make the most out of it. Why not spend this time doing something more efficient? Why not spend this time doing something that will help me grow as a person? And in the end, you're really spending that time for yourself. So are you really lonely if you're doing that? So I just wanted to serve as kind of like this, reminder, as well as, a bit of strength for some of our listeners that might be feeling like they're, lonely maybe too often, or, that the loneliness that you always think it's not good for you. But if you feel like, once again, if that loneliness becomes too chronic and too often, then it becomes a problem. But I think take advantage of that time. Yeah, allow for yourself to experience that time and to grow out of that. Who knows what you might learn about yourself. That was today's quote unquote, and that will do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with me. Our last track, this one's by 윤종신, 곽진원, and Kim Pil with 지친 하루. Inside Busan was written by Im Soo-jin, and it was hosted and produced by yours truly, Min Soo-shin. Folks, have a good one.
거기까지라고 누군가 툭 한마디 던지면 그렇지 하고 포기할 것 같아. 잘한 거라 토닥이면 왈칵 눈물이 날 것만 같아. 발걸음은 잠시 쉬고 싶은 걸.
하지만 그럴 수 없어. 하나뿐인 걸 지금까지 내 꿈은 오늘 이 기분 때문에 모든 걸 되돌릴 수 없어. 비교하지 마, 상관하지 마. 누가 그게 옳은 길이래. 옳은 길 따위는 없는 걸. 내가 택한 이곳이 나의 길. 내 사랑 너의 자랑이 되고 싶은데 지친 내 하루 위로만 바래. 날 믿는다 토닥이면 왈칵 눈물이 날 것만 같아. 취한 한숨에 걸터 앉은 이 밤
해낼게 믿어준 대로 하나뿐인 걸. 지금까지 내 꿈은 오늘 이 기분 때문에
널 되돌릴 수 없어 비교하지 마 상관하지 마 누가 그게 옳은 길이래 옳은 길 따위는 없는 것 내가 좋은 그곳이 나의 길
부러운 친구의 여유에 질투하지는 마 순서가 조금 다른 것뿐 딱 한 잔만큼의 눈물만
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을